Hello, this is Stephanie Pokorny of Crochetverse, and this is a fast video to show you how I created the gills on the mushroom version of my twisted witch hat. It is a pattern that I created that you can get on both Ravelry and Etsy. Again, my name is Stephanie Pokorny, and my name is Crochetverse, and this is the Twisted Witch Hat, the mushroom version. I wanted to take a second to show you how I did those gills, just in case you had the desire to create a similar hat. And honestly, why wouldn't you? Who doesn't need a mushroom witch hat in their life? So what I did is I created the hat. I haven't woven in my ends, but I created the hat according to the pattern. I started out with a double strand of a deep red, and then as I worked through the hat, I dropped one of the dark reds and added in a normal red, and then I dropped both the dark strands and I used just double strand of regular red, and I finished that by bringing in one strand of a really hot red. This is all Red Heart Super Saver, and by doing that double stranding technique, bringing in one strand of one color and one strand of another color, you end up with a really cool gradient effect to your finished piece. So when you begin the round on the hat, where you are told to drop 2 hook sizes from what you needed to obtain gauge on the main body of the hat, that is your first round of the brim, and it is done in the front loop only. You're working it from this direction, so it's done in the front loop only, and that leaves you with the remaining back loop on the back. I then created the next rounds of the pattern up until round 106 as per the pattern. So that takes us out to a round of 140 stitches. For round 107, again, I only worked in the front loop, and that created a second round that has the remaining back loop. I then did round 107 and 108, both of which are 140 stitches. I then came around one final time and did a reverse single crochet in each stitch around. I eliminated the rounds of the brim that took us out to 175 stitches because I wanted a shorter brim for this application of the hat. So at the end of doing that, I have the first round of the brim, which has 70 stitches in it. So I have 70 loops on this smaller inner round, and I have 140 loops on this outer round. And these remaining loops created an anchor, if you will, through which I will create the gills of the hat. So I wanted to show you some math really quickly. You know, everybody's favorite part about crochet and the part that took me the longest to learn, but still. So on this inner round here, we have 70 loops. And on this outer round, we have 140 loops. So each gill of the hat that I create is going to take up 2 stitches of the inner round and 4 stitches of the outer round. This means we're going to create 35 gills around, and they're going to be nice and evenly spaced. I didn't even plan it this way. So when I worked out the math, I was like, score. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But keep in mind that we're going to do 2 stitches for each gill on the smaller inner round and 4 stitches for each gill on the larger outer round. And that's going to give us 35 gills in total. So turn your hat upside down and slip stitch a double strand of yarn. I have one cream and one of a really light tan. It's going to make like a cool color for the gills. And you're going to slip stitch join, working from the outside of the hat so your hook is pointing to the inside of any of the loops remaining on that large outer round of 140 stitches. And you're going to slip stitch that on to any one of those stitches, okay? Then from here, we're going to chain 6. Then we're going to come back and anchor it onto whatever loop you think is most directly opposing the one you joined to. So now I have a 6 chain that is anchored between the larger outer round and the smaller inner round. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to come back and work in those 6 chains that I just created here. So when you are working back on it, this one right here next to the chain, that's actually your slip stitch. So if you work that, you're going to be left with 1 extra on the end. So make sure that your first one comes into here, not the one right here, because that's your slip stitch. So I am going to half double in the first 5. Oh, I lost one of my loops. It's always awkward trying to do it under a video recording, just because my eyes want to watch the phone and my actual work at the same time. So I'm always so awkward when I do this, but I know you'll get the point. Okay, so I've got a half double in each of the first 5 chains. In the last one, I am going to work 1, 2, 3 doubles, 1 half double, and 1 single. Now remember, each gill needs to take up 2 stitches on the back and 4 on the front. So to move myself over in preparation for the next gill, I'm going to I'm going to slip stitch to the next 1, 2, 3, and 4 loops on the front of the hat. So that gives us the gill encompassing the stitch that we originally worked into, the next 3 on the hat, and then we go into the 4th to put us in position to start that second gill. So now I'm going to chain again 6. Now on the inside smaller round of the hat, you're going to skip 1 loop and slip stitch to the next, because remember, each gill needs to take up 2 on the inner. So this and this is for this gill, and then we're going to skip 1 and slip to the next. And the process for each gill is the same. Coming back on it, half double in each of the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then on that 6th one, it's going to be 3 doubles, 1 half, and 1 single. Now we need to move across for our next beginning of the gill. So see how we worked there? Start slip stitching right there. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have 2 gills done. Taking up 2 stitches on the back round and 4 stitches on the front round per gill. We'll do one more. So it's chain 6. Don't get too tight when you're chaining those 6. You don't want to like pull this section of the hat together. 7 created too much and 6 seemed right, but you got to make sure you're not going too tightly. So we're going to skip the next one and join to the next one. Chain 1 and turn. Half double in the first 5. And in the last one, 3 double. One half double and 1 single. Slip stitch in the next 4 on the 140 round of the hat. Chain 6, not too tightly again. Skip 1 on the background and slip stitch to the next. And that is how I created the gills on that mushroom hat. You'll see that it makes something that definitely does look like mushroom gills. I kind of like to fold that last stitch where you bunch all the same. You bunch the 3 doubles, the 1 half, and the single. You bunch them into the last. I kind of like to pop it out so they line up nicely. And I'm going to continue that around. One final reminder again, each gill is going to take up 2 on the back, 1 we're working into, and then we're skipping the next. That's right there, see? Work it, skip it, work it, skip it, work it, skip it. Then we're chaining 6, 1 half double in each of the first 5. And then in the last, it's 3 doubles, 1 half, 1 single, all in that same chain. And then we're slip stitching in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. So that means 2 stitches on the back, 4 stitches on the front per gill, and you're going to end up with 35 gills around. And you'll want to pop that last stitch out so they're nice and even. And that is it. So again, this is the Twisted Witch Hat mushroom version. It is by myself, Stephanie Pokorny of Crochetverse, and it's available on Ravelry and Etsy. This is a paid pattern, but I wanted to take a moment and show you how I did those gills just in case you had the desire to create the same hat. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a really blessed week. Bye-bye.